Hello, I am Farming George and welcome to my virtual Open Farm Sunday. Now, unfortunately, due to this funny old year that we're living through at the moment, I can't have people out to the farm, which is a really big shame because I had a lot of awesome stuff to be showing you guys this year. But anyway, I thought I'd try the next best thing, get the old camera out and see what I can show you this way. So whilst the wind's blowing, I thought I'd give you a quick whistle-stop tour of some of the things that we're growing on the farm. This first field that I'm in is actually a field of linseed. You'll see it has a really lovely blue flower. Unfortunately, because it's a bit of a gloomy day today, it's probably not coming out that well. But you'll either see this with blue flowers or white flowers, and it's one of these resplendent crops that when you see it on the side of a road, quite often it looks like it's water and it just ripples nicely in the background. It's a really lovely crop. Now, linseed actually has a few uses. You've probably heard of linseed oil, which is used obviously in furniture making, especially boiled linseed oil. And you might have even used linseeds in cooking. That's becoming quite a popular thing now. They're also sometimes heard of as flax seeds. Flax and linseed are very, very similar plants, but they're not quite the same. Flax ends up growing taller, and flax is actually what's used to make linen, so that's pretty fun. Now, I'm just in a crop of spring wheat here. And what's exciting is you can just see the ears of the wheat just beginning to boot out of the stems. So it won't be long before this crop of Malika spring wheat is going to be full on ear, which will be a lovely sight to behold. As you might well be aware, the last 6 to 8 months, especially for farmers and for gardeners as well, has really been rather challenging. This is most definitely the most challenging year that I've faced in my 7 years of farming. We went from having an absolutely sodden, disgustingly wet late autumn and winter through to having the most insanely dry spring with a tremendous wind as well. That wind was really wicking all the moisture that was in the soil out of the soil. So our crops have had quite a lot to contend with, to say the least. It's actually meant that I only managed to establish about half of the expected area of wheat in the winter. I didn't manage to establish my winter beans. And a lot of my crop rotations therefore kind of had to alter because of that. But anyway, some things are in the ground, some things are looking good. We'll take a look at those now, shall we? If I'm perfectly honest, I'm actually pretty tickled pink by these peas. They've stuck some pods out really early. They were on flower really early, about 2 weeks ago. Which again, given the dry weather, is not a surprise. They're an annual crop, which means they kind of grow once, produce seed and then die. And so all they care about is making sure they can reproduce. And in these really dry conditions that we've had, they obviously thought, oh, quick, better make sure we pot up and make sure we get some seed out, even if they produce slightly less than they otherwise would. So I'm not necessarily expecting a tremendous yield from this field, but I reckon it looks pretty fair so far. In all likelihood, they will be in here in probably 6 or 7 weeks harvesting them. So it'd be really interesting to see actually how they turn out. So I haven't used any insecticides on my farm for 5 years now. And one of the problems you get with that is you do get infestations of aphids and other critters coming onto the farm as well. So aphids can be a problem on peas. They can suck out a lot of the juice that's in the pea plant and mean it'll end up yielding less. But I think for my point of view, I think it's really important that I encourage the beneficial insects to come in and do the job that using an insecticide would otherwise do. So I kind of just deal with the fact that I have some aphids in this crop. And I hope that we're going to get some ladybirds and ladybird larvae coming into this crop pretty soon and taking care of some of those aphids. So I guess I'm just putting a little bit of trust in nature. Now, the peas that you see growing behind me are not the sort of bird's eye peas that you see in the supermarket shelves in the frozen aisle. Those are actually something called vining peas. These are a yellow pea, so they're actually harvested when they're dry, when they've matured. And so they've got a really long shelf life, but they're a fantastic pulse, a great source of nutrition and protein. And yeah, you'll find them in the dried seed aisle in the supermarket, and they're really well worth a go. They're super delicious. There's also not just peas in this field. There's actually a 2-hectare little strip of lentils going on here. That's what we've got behind us at the moment. Really lovely, wonderful little plant, really delicate. You can see they've got tiny little white flowers at the moment that are soon enough going to pot up. It's a wonderful but very difficult plant to grow, lentils. They grow very short, so they're quite difficult to pick up with the combine harvester, but we have a good go. This is the 3rd year growing them now. I grow them for a little company called Hodrodods on the Suffolk-Norfolk border. Great company to work for, really fun guys who have taught me an awful lot. And yeah, this is one of the crops I grow for them, and it's a pretty lovely one. One of the things we've been up to lately is cutting grass. We've actually cut it for putting into haylage. Haylage is essentially hay, but before the hay gets too dry enough as to when it'd be called hay, when it's kind of still slightly damp, you bale it at that stage, then wrap it in plastic. You can see that over here behind me. And yeah, we've been doing an awful lot of that, so we've got a lot of cut grass about at the moment, and Dad's been carting them home for me, which is nice. Now I'm just approaching an undisclosed location to show you probably my favourite crop on the farm, and I'm probably going to intersplice some shots I was harvesting it last year. It is of course the wonderful hemp. So I'm actually growing hemp for the seed oil. So this is when I grow it, harvest the seeds just with a combine harvester like you see normally at cutting wheat. The plan is then to cold press those into a type of a plant oil. This is a plant oil a bit like rapeseed oil or something like that. However, this has got tons of omega-3s, 6s and 9s in it. It's really nutritious. There's loads of protein in it as well. You can even mill the remains from that oil making process. You can mill it into flour, a really high protein flour as well. So there's lots of fabulous stuff about hemp. I haven't even got into the clothing side, which is even more fantastic, the materials you can create from it. So I've got a lot of kind of big high hopes for hemp as a crop in the future. Unfortunately, the problem with hemp has been getting a license for it. So I got a license on this farm last year without too many problems, but then I tried to get a license at home in Fobbing and was told that there was no chance whatsoever of getting a license there because it's overlooked by houses and the fact we've got footpaths over the farm, and it was therefore not appropriate. Now, just to be clear, this isn't cannabis. I think it'd be worth a lot more if it was cannabis. This is actually hemp, so it's industrial hemp. It doesn't have the THC content to get you high, so I think it's a really big shame that more people aren't growing this. If we had more critical mass of people growing this, we could really grow a sustainable hemp economy within the UK, growing kind of hemp for fibre. Hemp's actually carbon negative, so it actually sucks more carbon out of the atmosphere when you grow it. So I'm really hoping, and I'm working with a number of people to really hope that maybe we can get hemp grown by more people in the UK and we can relax the legislation around it. That'd be a really awesome win for this crop. So this is a field which we call Council House. This is actually the field just to the south of Marsh Lane and happens to be the host of all of my wheat trials for this year. What a stormy looking day we're filming on. And one thing you might notice when you come and walk in this field is how we've got some pretty patchy looking headlands. Headlands are the outside of the field. Now that was actually because this was established, this field, in November, and it was put in at the last possible opportunity that we really had to put any winter wheat into the ground. The ground conditions weren't great, and consequently it meant that when we then turned on the headland with our tractor, it kind of roughed the ground up enough, which meant that the crop that we planted there didn't grow. So that was a little bit of a shame. What I am pleased about, however, is that we've got some pretty cool trial crops in here, so I'm just going to take you on a whistle-stop tour through them now. So the first one I'm going to show you is sort of like the gateway drug that got me hooked on trying out all these different wheat varieties, to be honest. This is my population wheat, Martin Wolf's YQ population. Y standing for yield and Q standing for quality. And it really is a magnificently lovely crop of wheat. Unfortunately this year, when you come and stand and have a look at it in the field, you'll see it's really quite short. It's probably 3 foot just over in height, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a crop like this at 5 or even 6 foot in height sometimes. So like everything this year, it's been affected by the weather and consequently it's very short, but we'll just take a little look at it now. So apparently that's thunder and rain. It's not quite what I imagined when I came out to film this, but oh crumbs, never mind. So if you look in here, despite the rain and the fact the crop's blowing about, you'll see there are lots and lots of different types of ears. We've got little ones like this, and we've got some hairy ones like this. There are actually around about 198 varieties in here. Oh dear, look at that rain. All very different. Nice to see it blowing about in the wind though. Now I'm actually growing these crops all for myself, but I've partly done this field in combination with the Organic Research Centre and a project that they're running across Europe called Live Seed. So this is to see how crops function without any inputs, so without any artificial inputs putting onto them. So this is actually the control of this. This is a crop called Siskin, which is a pretty standard conventional variety of wheat. And I'll be honest, it looked pretty horrible until quite recently, but now it doesn't actually look too bad at all. Given the fact the weather's changed a bit, I'm just going to quickly kind of wander down the field, and hopefully you can see in the background how the varieties change. This next strip is a little hectare strip, and it's actually 3 varieties of wheat all together. We've got a variety called Wilhelmina, a variety called Yeoman, and a variety called Holdfast. Now I won't know which one is which, but I wonder if I can find some ears. So again, we got some little ears like this. There we go, we've got some nice big ears as well. That's in a nice raindrop on the lens. And I know that one of these varieties is horned. Here we go. Horned, as in it's got hairs. So you might even think it looks a bit like barley, but it's not barley, it's actually a wheat variety. Lovely. Right, let's do what they do on Turning Vision sometimes. I don't know, it's still probably bad, isn't it? Never mind. I'm quite excited by these next ones. These are 2 genuinely local heritage varieties. So I think, from what I understand, they're about 100, 150 years old, something like that. The first one we've got is one called Old Kent Red, and then one called Old Kent Hoary. And what's really exciting about these is the fact that because they're genuinely local, in theory they should actually work really well with the climate that we've got here. To be fair, they seem to have looked pretty good overall in the year, so I can't really complain so far. And actually the one I'm most excited about, over and above everything, which has actually come out on here just in the last couple of days and is looking rather lovely, is this one here. This is called Percival's Blue Cone. I don't know how well that's going to come out on camera, to be honest, but look at these gorgeous, gorgeous ears. So these ears, they're horned, so they got their hair on, and when the ears start to go off, they're actually going to turn blue. You can even see some light specking of blue just down the side at the moment. So I'm really excited about this. Some of the reason I'm excited is because it's actually a variety of wheat called a rivet wheat. And rivet in theory is going to be a really great wheat to make pasta out of. In the UK we don't really grow wheat for pasta that much. So I'm really excited, and I'm actually in talks with a couple of people who are going to try making pasta out of this wheat. Really cool. The next wheat we've got here isn't actually what's known as a heritage wheat, but it's kind of one of the first modern wheats when modern wheat breeding came in. This is a variety called Maris Widgeon. Normally I'd expect it to be sort of 5 foot or taller in height. Again, showing the funny old year we're living in, because it's standing at somewhere between 3 and 4 foot in height. The dog is most definitely not impressed by this weather. Hey Winston, good boy. So the next crop we've got here is really struggling in the conditions we're having at the moment. You can see lots of it's fallen over, it's been blown over by the wind, which I'm really disappointed by. So this is actually an ancient wheat, so it's one of the kind of original wheats where modern wheats came from, and it's something called Khorasan. It's got these really spectacular ears. They look so amazing. They've got these really delightfully long horns on. Really exciting. So I'm hoping that I'm going to have enough of a crop here. The plant population wasn't great when I established it. The seed wasn't that high quality, but I've got a couple of ideas I want to try out next year to see if I can make this work any better. So this variety behind me is something called Emma, another one of those ancient wheats where kind of the wheat that we have today was originally derived from. I'm so glad it's still standing. Again, normally Emma is a variety I'd expect to be a lot taller than this, but I'm really excited by this. It's again, grown without any inputs, and it still looks this amazing. I'd really recommend coming out to the field on a nice day to see it blowing around in the wind and looking really cool. Not on a day when it's raining like this, because it's not that enjoyable. And then to finish it all off, well, I say finish, the rest of the field is actually in a conventional variety, one we call Crusoe. But to finish off the fun stuff is a really ugly wheat with tiny ears. Another one of these ancient wheats. This is called einkorn, E-I-N-K-O-R-N. Got these tiny little ears that are sort of, I don't know, 1.5 inches, 2 inches in length. Also got the horns, so also got the hairs on them. I'm growing this because I think it's such an interesting thing. I think it's going to have some amazing flavour when it gets baked with. And I'm really hoping that it'll be something exciting to work with in the future, and especially in a year with more, with better growing conditions. Anyway, to be honest, I'm soaking wet. And I'm going to go and quickly show you the buckwheat and then I think I'm going to have a bath and get dry. We're now in the field just to the north of Marsh Lane. This is one we call Sprats, and I'm just going to put a little cut in now of the buckwheat growing. If you come and see it, it's literally just coming on flower. It's a really great time to come and see it. Again, don't come on a rainy day. I'll be honest, it sounds like I'm fed up with the rain, but this really is quite a blessing that it appears that we're getting quite a soaking of rain, so I'm really rather happy. This is going to be a really fun field, this field. We're looking to establish the agroforestry in here, so if you come for a walk in this field, you'll notice that there are 6 metre gaps like this one here, which have actually got grass planted in them already. The grass is just beginning to grow. Oh, dearie me. So the grass is just growing. We also got grass strips. Nice bit of thunder. We've also got grass strips down the side of the field as well. That's hopefully going to enable us to kind of turn on those strips and have kind of these smaller fields within the field. Those small micro fields should then hopefully allow me to do some more interesting crops and play around a little bit with kind of establishment techniques and all those bits and pieces. And then you might see on the edge of the field, we got these areas where kind of got a load of wild grass coming and all those kind of things. I'm letting that come at the moment, and I'm going to put a load of trees in there as well. So we're going to have these really cool kind of wide margins on the field. That's all the plan anyway. Oh, to be honest, I'm taking shelter in the car with Winston. Winston smells like a wet dog. I think I probably smell like a wet dog. I pinched my brother's jacket earlier, but it transpires it's not waterproof, it's just warm. So never mind. Anyway, I think we're going to call that a day. I'm going to write up a little list of places you can go and visit, provide a map with it as well. So I hope you get to come out onto the farm in Fobbing and see the stuff we're up to. There's a load of really cool, exciting projects happening on my farm, and it'd be great to bring you guys along to see what we're up to. And fingers crossed next year we'll A, have some nice weather, and B, coronavirus won't be stopping us having a proper open farm Sunday. So anyway, thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and do get out in the countryside. Just remember, keep your dogs on a lead and keep the footpaths, and that'd be terrific. Thanks very much.